What is going on, Gridiron fans? And welcome back. This is my mock draft madness. This is my mock draft madness for the week after week 6. These are if the season ended today, this would be the order. So, I'm going to start off by saying, if you haven't been here before, please subscribe. Click the little bell so you can get notifications of my future uploads. Also, maybe if you enjoy this video, give me a thumbs up, give me a like. And with that being said, let's get started on this mock draft madness. Okay, so the last time I did a mock draft, I said, what if the Jets move on from Adam Gase and they hold on to Sam Darnold? You know, maybe they don't take Trevor Lawrence, and in that mock draft, Trevor Lawrence fell. So if you want to go check that out, go check that out. It's my last mock draft. But in this one, Trevor Lawrence will be going to the Jets. I just think they just got to start righting the ship, and I think Trevor Lawrence is a good start. Now, Washington football team says their team needs his quarterback. I guess that could be true because Ron Rivera has benched Dwayne Haskins. He brought in Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen got hurt. So now they're going with Alex Smith. For now. But anyway, I think that's a really crowded quarterback room. Maybe they take a quarterback, but probably not this high. One thing they do need is an offensive tackle. Why not take the best offensive tackle in the draft, Penei Sewell? They may take a quarterback later on, but I don't see them really taking one right here, especially when they have some other glaring needs. All right, the New York Football Giants. The Giants can go a lot of directions here. It says edge, linebacker, cornerback. Yeah, those things are all true. They need help on defense. They need healthy wide receivers. There's a lot of things they could do. The whole Baker situation last year, losing out on a first round pick, a year after you drafted him. That sucks. So they could need some help at corner. They've got Logan Ryan there. So, they've done some things. They might be able to pick somebody up in free agency. Free agency also always changes these things. This is not set in stone. Obviously, it's not set in stone. It's week 7, or it's about to be week 7. So I think the New York Football Giants. Okay, so the Giants take Gregory Rousseau. The Falcons right now cannot stop a nosebleed. They are giving up the most points in the NFL right now. Their offense is pretty damn good, but their defense is just atrocious. They need any kind of help on defense. Really, they took A.J. Terrell this year, but I think they need to double down. I think they need to go with a guy like Caleb Fairley. Just start getting some players on that secondary, because their secondary is mostly their problem. Caleb Fairley, he can help right that ship a little bit. Between him and A.J. Terrell, they're two good young corners. That could help them out big time. All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars. I think the Jaguars, they don't exactly move on from Gardner Minshew, but I think they are going to draft him some competition. They already proved last year when they brought in Foles that they are going to bring in some competition. So I still don't think this is Gardner Minshew's job to lose. I think he will have some competition, possibly this next year. So I would go Justin Fields. Bring in Justin Fields. He's coming from Ohio State. He's coming from a similar system. Bring him in and have him and Gardner Minshew duke it out. See who the better quarterback is. The Jaguars need to get back to being relevant. Okay. The Vikings. The Vikings are super underachievers right now. I'm going to go offensive line. They need offensive line or defensive line. I would go offensive line here. Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey would be my pick. Okay. Now the Dolphins. The Dolphins are doing some good things. They're 2-3. Okay, so what I would do if I was the Dolphins is I would take Jamar Chase. Add some firepower to that offense. They're already doing some good things down there. And week 7, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a starter. Now, I said in my last video that it would be sometime this year, possibly the last 4 or 5 weeks, especially if the Dolphins weren't relevant. But holy crap, it's right now. Not a big surprise, but let's go Tua. Get him a weapon next year, Jamar Chase. Best wide receiver in the draft. All right, the Chargers. The Chargers need offensive line help. Not soon. I would say, you know what? I would say they go Patrick Surtain II. His dad was a beast. His dad played for the Dolphins back in the day. He was a pretty good corner. All right, no brainer here. The Eagles need help on defense, mostly at linebacker. Best linebacker in the draft, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons all day. Okay, Bengals. The Bengals need, if I'm the Bengals, I say 2 years ago they drafted Jonah Williams, just because they needed help on that offensive line. This year they drafted their starting quarterback. They even got him a weapon, but this year, get back to protecting your quarterback. Joe Burrow has kind of been running for his life a little bit, so I say shore up that offensive line and draft a guy like Alex Leatherwood. Now you got bookend tackles. Now you just start filling in the middle. You can get a guard or a center late in the draft, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, to help you solidify that line. That defense is playing pretty well too, but you are going to need some young players on defense this year as well, this upcoming draft. So offensive line and defense, I think that offense is going to be pretty good. All right. The Detroit Lions. Lions really, I would say that they would go after a guy. You know what? Bill Belichick loves him some Alabama guys. So I'm sure that Matt Patricia also likes these Alabama guys. So I think he goes Dylan Moses. Speaking of the Patriots, here they are. I say the Patriots go Marvin Wilson. I think I've done that a couple times, and I'm sticking with it. I think the Patriots are going to draft Marvin Wilson. The Broncos. The Broncos, they do need offensive line help. There's a couple of interior offensive linemen right here, but they need something on defense. They need a corner, especially. Look at that division. You now have Henry Ruggs and Tyreek Hill in that division. You also have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen on the Chargers. There's a lot of good wide receivers in that division. Also, the Raiders have Bryan Edwards. There's a lot of good wide receivers in that division. You need to have corners in that division. Broncos going Tyson Campbell. Dolphins back on the clock. I see the Dolphins going with a guy like Quincy Roche right here. You know, this is an Alabama guy. Why not keep him? This is a Miami guy. Why not keep him in Miami? Quincy Roche. Okay. The Panthers. I think the Panthers need some help on the back end of that defense. I think they're going to go a guy in this position. They would go a guy like Shaun Wade. Shaun Wade, big physical. All the corners in this first round of this draft are big physical corners. They're all 6'1", 200 pounds, 6 foot, 6'2", 200 pounds. They're good press corners. Not really many zone or man corners in this. It's mostly press corners right off the bat. The best ones are press corners in this draft. So, you know, if you really play press man coverage, then this is your draft, and get them early because there's like 6 or 7 of them, but they're going to go in the first round, early second round at the latest. All right, we're looking at the 49ers. The 49ers, I think they would go a guy like Wyatt Davis right here. Wyatt Davis. You know, I would say, you know, Richard Sherman's getting older. Maybe you grab one of these corners, but Jimmy G is getting banged up, you know, and it's because he's getting hit. So why don't you start building that offensive line in front of him? He's been hurt a couple times now, and it's only a matter of time before you lose him for the season. So you just need to start getting him offensive line help and keep him upright, keep him from getting hit, and the 49ers will have success. I mean, they proved that last year when, you know, Jimmy G played all year. They went to the Super Bowl. So start protecting your quarterback. All right. The Saints. Wow. I would love to see this because I love this guy. All right. I think the Saints draft their future quarterback with Drew Brees leaving, and Trey Lance falls to them at 17. Now, I don't know if Trey Lance would fall this far in the actual draft. He probably won't make it out of the top 7. Somebody will trade up in there and get him. Whatever. But in this scenario, Trey Lance falls, and the Saints scoop him up. All right. The Raiders. The Raiders just got David Irving this week. So edge may not be their biggest issue. Their biggest issue may be interior offensive line going forward, maybe defensive line. It's not a sexy pick, but I would go right here. I would go Trey Smith because, you know, they got John Simpson this year. You know, Richie Incognito's with 37, 38. I think they need to start working on that interior offensive line. You know, Hudson's getting older, so I think if they just start working on the guards and center position, at least getting some depth at this point, for the future. Even Gabe Jackson is like pushing 30. I believe he's going to be 29 next year. So even just getting guards in general in this draft could help us out. Offensive and defensive line in this draft, and we should be good. Okay, the Cowboys. The Cowboys cannot stop anybody. Period. They're giving up like 30 something points a game. You know, it's ridiculous. They need somebody like Paulson and Debo. They just need corners. Corners, safeties, whatever. They need it. You know, they got to stop the bleeding somehow. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but they get a guy like Paulson and Debo, it could surely help for next year. Okay, the Browns. I think the Browns would go a guy like Aiden Hutchinson. Put him opposite Myles Garrett. Aiden Hutchinson is pretty much built the same as Myles Garrett. So, the Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I say that the Bucks go somebody like Jalen Waddle. You add him to that wide receiving core. Whoo! Put him in the slot. You got Goodwin and Evans on the outside. Jalen Waddle in the slot. I mean, they already have a pretty good wide receiving core, but you add a guy like Jalen Waddle, and now you got some juice, some young juice. Okay, Colts. I think the Colts do not keep Phillip Rivers. They may have to out of default because they can't find a new quarterback for next year. I really think they shouldn't have brought him in. I like the Colts, and I don't really like seeing Phillip Rivers there. He's way past his prime. Throws a lot of interceptions. I really wish there was a quarterback for them in this draft at this point, but at 22, there's just not. There might be a quarterback or two that becomes on the rise this year, and there may be a fourth quarterback in this first round, but right now there just isn't. So, nobody that's cemented themselves. Okay, so I think they go. So if they can't get a quarterback, they might as well start getting some weapons for when they do. So Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith is actually rising up boards as well. Devontae Smith could find himself being a top 16, top 17 pick, as well as Jalen Waddle. These guys are lining up in college. Jaguars, you got your quarterback already. Okay? So now, why don't you get him some more protection in taking Samuel Cosmi out of Texas? This guy's a solid offensive tackle. He's probably going to go higher than this. But right now, that's what I'm looking at right there. He's going 23rd, and that's perfect for the Jaguars because they need to protect their new quarterback, Justin Fields. And we drafted 5th overall. Okay, so the Buffalo Billy Bobs. I think the Bills have been having a little bit of trouble on the back end. But one guy, I think they need to help protect Josh Allen a little better. I've seen him over the last 2 weeks run for his life a little bit. And I think they go a guy like Jalen Mayfield. He opted out of Michigan, but he opted back in when the Big Ten said, oh, we are going to have a season this year. Jalen Mayfield came back. So I think he's got something to prove. He's going to show that he is a first-round pick, maybe even higher than this. We know Michigan turns out offensive tackles like it's their job. So, and that's going back 20-something years. That's not just recently. So, moving on to the Cardinals. The Cardinals. I think that the Cardinals, go Asante Samuel Jr. right here. Because Patrick P is not getting any younger. They do need a little bit of safety help. They drafted Murphy, last year? This past year? I don't know. They drafted Murphy, and maybe they draft Asante Samuel Jr. and move Patrick P over to safety. Good corners do that late in their career. Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, some players just do that. Great corners just do that. Move him over to free safety. Helps out your secondary tremendously, and he can help groom some of these younger guys in the secondary, as well as communicate with them. All right, Ravens. The Ravens can really just go anything at this point. They don't need to take anything specific. They don't really have any needs. But as far as like maybe upgrading possibly in the first round, they could take players like wide receiver. So I would say that they take Rondale Moore from Purdue. This guy is a physical wide receiver. He could actually be the perfect complement to what they have there. They don't have that big physical guy. He's a good run blocker. So if they, we know the Ravens love to run the ball. So if they had a good run blocking wide receiver, that could help them out a lot. All right, Bears. Bears quarterback situation is up in the air. They obviously need a quarterback, but they're picking 27th. Like I said earlier, there may be a quarterback that's like first, second round fringe area that goes right here, but I'm not sold. But if they get a guy like Jalen Twyman to add to the juice of that defensive line, I think that'll make their defense even better. It'll help Khalil Mack out. They run a 3-4, so you could put him at defensive end, and you can put him on Khalil Mack's side, and he'll help Khalil Mack get in there. He is also a pass rusher. He's not a run stuffer. He's a pass rushing defensive lineman, defensive tackle, 3 technique. He's a power rusher, But if you put him next to Khalil Mack, those two could do some damage. All right, Steelers. I've said it a couple times already. I think the Steelers go Tyler Shelvin. I just gotta show. I show this. This guy is 362 pounds. He's a mountain of a man. He is a Steeler. Like when you think Steelers, that's what you think. You think big, physical, defensive players. That's this guy. Okay. So now you have the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers, I think they go with what they should have gone with this year, and that's a wide receiver in the first round. I think Rashad Bateman. The Titans on the clock. I think the Titans go. Yeah, there we go. Christian Barmore. Right there at the top. The Jets. Now, the Jets got rid of Le'Veon Bell this past week. Their other running back is Frank Gore. So, they already drafted Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall. So, why don't you also pair him with his running back, Travis Etienne. I think that's a good move. Because now you give him a familiar weapon to throw to hand off to. Also, if your offensive line isn't that great, a really good running back could help, especially one like Travis Etienne. And then after that, that defense isn't terrible. You just build offense in this whole draft. I think is they go out and get a wide receiver. They need offensive linemen. They also need to get themselves more picks at some point. Maybe unload some of their players that they already have. They just need to start over. Start all over. All right. The Chiefs. I think they go Dylan Raduns at offensive tackle. I think that's what they do there. So, what did you think of my mock draft, everyone? Do you think I'm crazy? Leave in the comments below. What do you think? This is my mock draft for after week 6, just before week 7. And let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe. And come back here for more mock draft madness in the future. I am the Gridiron Guy, and I am out.